Now it's time for us to look at our newspapers around the continent of Africa. I'll be starting off with our first paper, the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch, we have APC PDP clash over vote buying. We're seeing that these are the details of the story here. PDP came distant third, desperate to bring back ruinous regime, says APC. APC pauperized Nigerians' electorate, find it difficult to make rational decisions, says PDP. Election fraught with violence. We will change it at tribunal, says SDP coalition agent. Tinubu returns to Lagos, seek massive local government votes. Hoodlums attack Convoy. The details of that on page 44. And still here we have page 4. Lagos power firm's technician falls from electric pole, dies. That's a very, very sad story there. Ogun gunmen take cigarettes, foodstuffs, free abducted church leaders. Wow. Page 5. On page 12, Lagos others record 36,482 tuberculosis cases in 2 years. We have some other stories. At the top of the paper, we're seeing debt servicing doubles, hits 896 billion in 3 months, says DMO. That's on page 30. Still on page 30, foreign airlines kick as federal government blocks $450 million ticket revenue. And 6 IOCs remit unpaid 386.4 billion proceeds this month. That's from NNPC. Now in the world of politics, on page 9, people are tired of Lawan. Let him go and rest. This was said by Machina, a Yobe politician, on page 9. On page 42, stock investors lose 767 billion in 1 week. And we have 3 more stories before we call it a wrap here on the Punch newspaper. JAMB registrar chides politicians buying 100 million naira nominations form. That's on page 16. And on pages 4 and 5, kidnappers demand 150 million for ex-NFF officers abducted after Abuja wedding. Where is safe? That's a question to ask. You go to a wedding, you could be kidnapped there. You go to church or, a place of worship, you could be kidnapped. Markets, at the end of the day, where is safe? That is a question we are asking. Now, still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have killing field. Benue Valley becomes gunmen's haven. 92 residents killed in 3 months. That's on page 8. These are the stories that we can take this morning on the Punch newspaper. Let's move over to our next paper this morning.
All right, and that's the Nigerian News Direct. Let's see what major stories that we can find over here. It says their fuel scarcity, long queues worsen in Ogun, Oyo, Osun, and others. And of course, that's a growing concern across Nigeria, certain places, in Lagos and in the southwest, and of course in the Federal Capital Territory. For everyone who has seen, there's been a lot of scarcity in the last few weeks or last few months actually. Also, still on the Nigerian News Direct, Tinubu returns to Lagos amid jubilation by party supporters. NCC 3-hour signed pact on revenue assurance solutions. And we can also find here, court stops federal government Huawei from action on e-customs concession project. Sanwo-Olu, Tony Elumelu officially launched development of new Falamo towers. And I think you can also find pictures on your screen there of presidential candidate of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, of course, meeting with the Oba of Lagos, Oba Rilwan. You can also see an annual general meeting pictures there. Well, those are the big ones that we can find, and we have time to share with you on the Nigerian News Direct.
Of course, we're moving this morning to Southern Africa on the front page of the Sowetan. The big story there says they are manipulated. Who is manipulated? If you want to find out who is manipulated, get yourself a copy of the Sowetan. Safa presidential hopeful Ledwaba hits back at women backing incumbent Jordan. On page 3, I'm banking on support of women in the region, she says. Now we're still looking on the front page of the Sowetan. We have why our teenagers kill inmates talk. Why our teenagers kill inmates talk. That's on page 2. Lamola pushes for deputy president post on page 6. Useful tips on mental health on page 10. It's important we have this conversation all through the month of June. We're going to be having conversations about men's mental health here on Breakfast Central. Gigi Lamayne cast for Disney Plus series. That's on page 5. A few days ago, we took a Kehinde Bankole here in Nigeria also cast for Disney series. That's brilliant news for the continent. Let's move over from Southern Africa to our final paper for this morning.
And let's just go to Kenya and see what we can find on the Daily Nation newspapers. Big one there. Decision 2022. Of course, we're still continuing the conversations on the elections in Kenya and here in Nigeria. It's building up to, of course, changing government in these two countries. It says here, making of a titanic battle. Triumph, the IEBC yesterday gave embattled Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja a lifeline after it dismissed all petitions against his candidacy for the Nairobi governor seat, setting the stage for a bruising battle for control of the country's richest county and seat of power. But of course, also making a mockery of ongoing investigations into the validity of this Ugandan degree certificate. Pretty interesting.
Very.
All right. Elections, of course, 49 days to go. It's a countdown over there on the Daily Nation. Sainthood, date set for beautification of nun who served in Meru. And how a man ended up with broken limbs at a hospital. It's going to be an interesting story to read. Ruto's city rally marred by violence as Uhuru and Raila woo Akorino faithful. These are the ones that we can find on the Daily Nation this morning. And I think that's all we have with the time.
Well, we might be able to squeeze in the Daily Monitor. Let's go to Uganda very quickly. This morning in Uganda, Mark students gamble future to loan sharks on the Daily Monitor. That's the big story that we have there. Mark students gamble future to loan sharks. Government officials agreed to refund 10 billion shillings after Monitor expose. On page 3, Uhuru calls EAC leaders to Nairobi today. Law lecturers sues government over acting judges. Still on the Daily Monitor, we have Uganda Airlines gets landing rights in China. That's on page 3. We have Uganda's NTD risk remains high despite progress on page 16. There's a big story here. There's a picture reflecting some clips from the Saturday Monitor as well. Still talking about government officials agreeing to refund $10 billion after Monitor expose. And finally, Kampala City spends 10 billion shillings per kilometer on urban roads. The details of that on pages 42 and 43. That's all that we can take for the first half here on Breakfast Central.